Nope.
Story number 1. Childhood Horror. Sent by Miss Amy. This story happened quite some time ago. I was very young. I used to live in this house that I thought was haunted. There were many cold spots throughout the entire house, and it just felt off. As a young child, I was petrified of the dark. My older brother would pick on me relentlessly about it. He was so mean. One night, as usual, my brother and I were playing in the living room after dinner and doing our chores. My mother went upstairs to draw my bath. About 10 minutes later, she called me to get my things together. Once I made it up the stairs, I could hear something creaking across the floor. I just stood there where I was on the steps. I wasn't scared at that moment, I just had a bad feeling. My mom called me again, so I got moving. After my bath, I put on my pajamas and got my book. My mom would read to me every night before bed. She read The 3 Little Pigs that night. When it got to the part with the wolf, I would read along, and afterward, it was time for me to go to sleep. A few hours later, I woke up to use the bathroom. When I did, I realized it was pitch black in my room. I assumed my stupid brother must have turned my nightlight off just to be a jerk. I was so scared that I pondered peeing the bed. But at that moment, I was more scared of the consequences if I did so. I took a deep breath, jumped out of bed, and ran through my mom's room and into the bathroom. She kind of scolded me for startling her, but she understood. Her light was off when I came out, so I had to hurry back to my room through the hall. I tried to hurry, but as soon as I opened her door, I realized that the entire second floor was totally dark. I was terrified. I was frozen to that spot. I didn't know what to do. I stepped back into the bathroom, turned the light back on, and sat next to the tub, thinking about my next move. The simplest thing to do would be to just make a break for it. Unfortunately, the top of the stairs was too close to the door, and I didn't want to risk falling down them. So I opted to man up, so to speak. I turned off the bathroom light and let my eyes adjust. Once I managed that, the darkness seemed to have substance. It was thicker somehow. I took a few more deep breaths and started down the hall. When I was about halfway there, I heard someone take a sharp breath. I froze again, but just for a second. I thought it may have been my brother trying to mess with me. I stomped up to what I thought was him. I started to chew him out, but it didn't take long to realize this was not my brother. This thing had hair on its arm, more like fur, thick and long. I reached up, hoping to God that it was him, but I felt a wide, wet mouth filled with massive teeth. At that, I screamed so loud that my voice broke. I just kept screaming until my voice was lost. My mom came running out to quiet me down. I cried for so long and didn't sleep at all until the next day. To this day, I still don't know what that thing was. Maybe it was just the power of suggestion, along with the story she read and my fear of the dark. If anyone listening has any idea, I would love to know. Story number 2. On a Lonely Highway. Sent by Patrick McNamara. Namara? Patrick, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Anyway, on to your story. I have always taken the same way home. I have always driven at night. I have never experienced any car troubles. That all changed tonight. I was driving, and my engine stalled. Eventually, my car just stopped. I had no reception on my cell phone. Damn smartphones. Intelligence is apparently a broad definition and up for interpretation. This sounds very cliché. I'm by myself on a dark stretch of highway around 10 o'clock at night. I can't even call for a tow. That's when the noises start. They were like muffled whines. At first, I didn't think they were anything more than in my head, but then I heard them again. This time, closer. Now it was followed by a heavy wheeze. I'll be honest with you, I am slightly unsettled at this point. The noises then stopped for a good 19 minutes. Eventually, I once again heard the muffled whine and loud wheeze. From the sound of it, it was coming from about 60 feet to my left, down this ditch. I peer over the ditch, and what I see, I could have never imagined. It was gray, with claws like nerve fingers. In fact, the closer I looked, the more I realized it was almost entirely muscle tissue. As if this thing was inside out. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even move. This thing was dragging itself up the ditch. I thankfully regained my footing and ran back into my car. I managed to lock myself in right before it could reach me. It repeatedly shook my car, hissing and roaring. Its eyes were pure black. It had no nose, and its mouth had at least 13 rows of razor-sharp teeth. It looked hungry. I was terrified. I knew that I was about to die. Then I saw a pickup truck with its high beams on. The thing emitted a high-pitched scream as the truck pulled up behind me. The driver, a man in his mid-40s, rushed over with a shotgun. He blasted the blinded creature. It retreated back into the ditch and into the darkness. The man fired 3 more shots into that thing and got it good because I saw black liquid with yellow pus creating a trail behind it. The man approached me and asked, "Did it hurt you at all?" I shook my head. "It's gone now. You can start your car. It was hungry and wanted to trap you. It's focused on its wounds now. You gotta be careful out here this late. It's going to recover in about a month. Go on now." With that said, I started my car and drove away. I don't know what that thing was. I can be sure of one thing, though. I am never going to take that road again. Story number 3. Lechuza Encounter. Submitted by Stealth. My friend told me a Lechuza story when we were kids. His uncle was into some dark stuff, and he wouldn't really talk much about it to my friend. He did tell him, though, that he'd been going out to a specific part of the river's bottom late at night. This area is a place where no one goes at night. It is the border between the sparsely populated farmland where we grew up and the old abandoned fort on the other side of the river. That fort sat on the unused and supposedly cursed part of the Indian reservation. There are all sorts of local legends about this place. When my friend found out his uncle was going there late at night, he got pretty freaked out. He thought his uncle must be up to some dark, occult stuff. One night, he stayed awake and waited for his uncle to get home. They all lived in a small trailer on the edge of a potato field. When his uncle finally came home, about 3:45 a.m., the dude seemed pretty scared. He had pale skin and wide eyes. My friend asked him what was wrong, and he told him that he had a weird encounter with an owl. He said it spooked him when the owl swooped down in front of him and landed on an old fence post. The uncle told him to go to bed and not to tell his parents about it. The next night, my friend heard his uncle leaving the house again, so he followed his uncle out to the river's bottom. It was about a 5-mile walk through dirt and gravel roads. His uncle made it to a kind of crossroads right in the creepy cursed area that we were all so scared of. There are old ruined building foundations and some dilapidated remnants of juniper fence posts. My friend hid in the sagebrush and watched his uncle kneel down in front of one of the old posts. He bowed his head and whistled quietly. Suddenly, a large owl swooped down and landed on the post. The uncle looked up and started whispering to the owl. My friend got scared and snuck the hell out of there. He made it back to the main gravel road and ran all the way home. The next day, he talked to his uncle and asked him why he kept going to the river's bottom so late. The uncle told him that he was going there to do some night fishing. He laughed and said he saw the creepy owl again. He said that this time it wasn't as scary because he knew it lived there. My friend knew better, but decided to just act as if he believed the made-up fishing story. The next night, my friend heard his uncle leaving and decided to wait up and confront him about it when he got home. He thought it would be a good idea to tell him the truth, that he had followed him the night before, and see if his uncle would tell him what was really going on. He waited until sunrise, and his uncle never came home. My friend ran out of the house and went to the river bottoms. He couldn't find anything at the creepy spot, except for a few large feathers. The police were called and searched the area. No one believed my friend's story about the owl, and the official story in the newspaper was that my friend's uncle had simply gone missing with no explanation. People assumed that he had either gone back to Mexico or committed suicide somewhere in the river's bottom. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, you know what to do. Take that like button and blast it a few times with your shotgun. Send it off into the darkness, bleeding and seeking revenge at some point. I don't know. Shout out to the authors of these stories. Well, not authors necessarily, but the people who sent them my way and gave me permission to read them. I hope I did them justice if you're listening. I also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving because today is Thanksgiving here in America. I just want to say thank you to everyone who is listening. Thank you to everyone who comes back every week to check out the new upload. Thank you to anyone who has been tuning into the podcast every month. I hope to up the frequency of those very soon. So link below if you're interested. And yeah, I just really want to express how thankful I am to anybody who has stuck with me this year. I know it's been a crazy year, and I don't know. I think it might just get crazier as time progresses, but And no matter what, I will be here to spook ya on a weekly basis. So, until next time, everybody, remember to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next video.